Don't take that, sorry, but cheap shit, okay? Don't take it. In the end, you will have more work to do and you will have more drama. Hi guys, and once again, welcome back to another GameDev Answers video where I answer interesting questions about game development, reveal mysteries, and much more. My name, by the way, is Marcus, and I'm a solo game developer, currently working on my game Raidborn, which is a first-person sandbox action RPG. If you want to find out more about it, check out my other videos. Today's topic is outsourcing, and if it makes sense, and if it especially makes sense for indie developers. So first, I would like to answer the question, what is outsourcing? For those of you who don't know or not exactly know, especially regarding game development. So what outsourcing basically is that you, for example, need some work to get done. Let's say I need some new assets like models. I need new 3D models for my skeletons. So I go to a platform where you can outsource stuff, like there is Fiverr, Upwork, and much more. You can also search for other people like, I know that guy who can do 3D models. You can contact him and ask him if he would do that particular job for you. And you pay him, he creates it, and that is basically what outsourcing is. So the question here, is it generally a good idea? I mean, let's talk about the problems at first. The problems of outsourcing are that you give work to someone who is not involved in the project, and most importantly, who may also not care that much about the quality. I think that's a very huge problem, especially because he doesn't get the whole vision. You could do that by just telling him, hey, look, that's the vision, but this may or may not work, so it's a difficult thing. It's generally a difficult thing to find good people to work with, even if you work with them long term, and it gets even harder if you're searching for good freelancers. However, you have to say that this works better than you may think, regarding the criticism I just mentioned, because those people live from their work and they live from delivering stuff for projects they don't know. So they have kind of to deal with it. They have to learn how to do it and how to make your customer happy. And of course, you also can talk about them to improve stuff and revise stuff. But that again, that takes away some of your capacity. And the reason why you want to outsource, of course, is to have more working power there. But before I talk a little bit about why that may be ideal for indies, let's take a look at what you can outsource, just to make this clear. I forgot to talk about it before, but what you can outsource are, as mentioned, 3D models, audio. You can even outsource world building, programming, so basically everything. And now let's talk about, is this a good idea for indies? Well, it depends, and I think it can be a powerful tool for indie developers or small teams. What is very important is to find a good partner for you to work with. So somebody who is very good creating 3D models or creating sound effects. And that can be the first challenge you run into when you want to do outsourcing. The second thing you have to keep in mind is that the guy you work with needs a very detailed description of what he needs to do. And that includes that you have to work on that, because if you do it yourself, you may not need a detailed description. So you have to understand that outsourcing does not mean that you don't have to do the whole thing at all. It means that you decrease the amount of work and that you only have to do like the designing and the detailed description. You have to make that, give it to the guy who's working for you, and that's it for you. But you also have to communicate with that guy. You have to organize the whole thing and maybe make some revisions and tell him, hey, that needs to be improved and that is not that perfect and stuff like that. So that is what you have to keep in mind, because you're not giving away the whole work. You are trading that you have to do the work for communicating with that person who is doing it for you and doing the detailed description, and you need another skill set for that than for creating the model. Another thing where it makes a lot of sense, of course, is if you don't have the skills to do a certain thing, then it can make sense to outsource. And of course, outsourcing has also the huge advantage that you have to pay this guy only once. You don't need to care about legal stuff or insurances, and you just don't need to have an actual employee. It's like a one-time employee, and that can be very comfortable for you as a creator. So I made experiences from outsourcing myself actually, and would like to share them with you. I have to say that my personal experiences are relatively bad, and I decided to better do it alone, and if I'm going to outsource, then I will make it very detailed, and I will better take somebody who costs a little bit more but also will get the job done professionally and not go so much for those cheap services which in the end never really worked. And an advice I can give you here: never try to outsource marketing. And what you can of course do is hiring a whole marketing agency or go for a publisher. That's what you can do. But here again, it's important to have a good publisher and a good agency. That's very important here. But don't buy services which cost a certain amount of bucks, like 50, 100, 200, and promise you to give you 100,000 views, 100,000 likes, or 100,000 sales. This is not going to work, and even if it's going to work, it will not work the long term, and marketing is a long-term thing. And marketing also needs you involved, especially if you're a smaller team, because only you know about the strengths of your product, of your game in that case here. So it is very important that you are yourself involved into that. And a marketing agency doesn't do everything on their own. You have to tell them what your game is all about and stuff like that. So you can't really completely outsource marketing. That's my advice here from my own experience. So here's my conclusion. I think it's very important, if you use outsourcing, that you take the right platform. Fiverr, for example, I would not really recommend, because at first there was a lot of controversy about it, and it seems that it doesn't treat their creators very well, and I think that's a bad thing for the customer at the end as well. So if you want to do outsourcing, search for a nice platform which seems like it has quality creators there, like for example Upwork is a little bit more professional, so go for something professional and something a little bit higher priced. Don't take that, sorry, but cheap shit, okay? Don't take it. In the end you will have more work to do and you will have more drama than if you just would take somebody who is actually professional, who costs a little bit more, but who ultimately gets the job done. And also, don't outsource marketing, at least not if you're using an agency, that's cool, and if you're going for a publisher, that's cool, but don't use the cheap marketing solutions. Graphics you can do, maybe sound, of course. Web design, again, is very difficult. You can do that if it's really a professional provider who's creating websites, yes, but don't take that cheap services here, because your website is very important. There can be security issues and it needs to be performant. There's a lot you have to take care about. My recommendation here would really, the best would be maybe to learn it yourself and to have an understanding of it yourself. Then you can maybe outsource this, but don't outsource that whole web stuff without having knowledge about the subject. And what outsourcing is perfect for is to outsource tedious and generic tasks. That is a total yes for outsourcing. If you have something which is relatively simple, like, hey, write an email to that guy, call that guy and tell him that he should do this and that, or I don't know, other stuff in game development which is just tedious and relatively simple, that is perfect to outsource. And that's ultimately my conclusion, and that also was it for the video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Tell me if you have experience with outsourcing. I mean, most gamers or most people who are not into game development or are not in creating a business or stuff like that, most likely have not experienced something with Fiverr, but still tell me if you have experience with Fiverr, what you think about outsourcing as a customer maybe. What do you think? Do you think, oh, that game developer's outsourcing, now I don't want to have this game? What do you think about it? Do you think that quality will suffer if you're outsourcing or not? Or do you think, hey, outsourcing is just great, because the developer can increase his working power and create cool games much faster and better and everything. Just tell me your thoughts. Also tell me your thoughts about the video quality, sound quality, whatever it is. Tell me. I want to improve my videos. I want to make best possible. And last but not least, guys, I hope you had a great day, really. And if not, I hope at least I could light up your day a tiny little bit with that video. And last, stay cool and see you in the next video.